Hey, welcome everybody. We're not going to have a very long show today. I'm not really feeling up to par. Chris isn't really feeling up to par. We're two parlous people, so we're going to do what we can tonight, going over a few things. But I think it's going to be a short show tonight. Don't you agree?
Yeah, well, I mean, we normally set sort of like an hour to an hour and a half anyway, but we tend to go to two. So I'm always worried whenever I say it's going to be a short show, it always ends up being longer than planned. So I'm just going to not comment on that just in case.
Just in case, well, we might have tangents that we go down. All right.
Yeah, well, if we have a long show, I mean, there's another, hashtag Steve lied.
That's true. Nobody trusts me on anything anymore. I can't keep the story straight. It's very difficult. You don't know what it's like. I need a notebook or something.
Mate, you should do that. You know what? That way you could keep all the stories in the one place. You'd be laughing.
Well, I have Cheshire. Cheshire's my sister. She's supposed to take all the notes for me. She's supposed to tell me, hey, Steve, you got to keep your stuff straight. And she's supposed to organize it for me. But, oh, well.
Actually, I've got an easier solution for you. Because what tends to happen after these episodes is people will send me messages on Twitter with timestamps going, Steve lied here, Steve said the wrong thing here. So I can keep tabs on it all for you.
That'd be nice. Yeah, I think that, what's funny is that at least they pay attention, right? At least they're taking notes. Maybe I should hire them for a secretary.
Every time they watch, it doesn't hurt. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because I have a friend of mine who just recently had the same experience you had. They basically had a whole bunch of the crazies go and inundate his DMs, and he's just like, man, you people are idiots. He's just like, I don't want to have to deal with any of those people. So, what are you gonna do?
I actually have a life and better things to do than worry about petty freaking dramas that have nothing to do with me. So.
Well, that's the same way with me. They really have nothing to do with me either. They just have my name attached to it. But most of this stuff is completely, like as Osmond pointed out, Kyle caused COVID. It's like, huh? What? Okay.
Oh yeah. Okay. See, I think these people are actually secretly in love with you because you don't dedicate this much time and effort to someone unless there's some nice feelings there. So
it's the hair. They love the hair. And by the way, I'll tell you what. I went out for a haircut today. Obviously, I didn't get one. Nothing was open. I went to one barber. There was one barber that was open. It was an old guy that probably has been cutting hair since 1952. And he looked at my hair and I said, do you do men's long hair? Because I just want about an inch off or, just split ends. And he's like, no. I was like, really? You're a barber? How hard is it? I mean, really? He's like, no, you kind of need a, actual stylist. I'm like, dude, you can't trim my hair. I mean, there's nothing else open. And he's like, well, I'm not even supposed to be open either. I'm like, okay, so. But I did go out. My roommate got a haircut, though. He got it, but all he did was, zzz, you're done.
I had a barber who used to do that, and it was nice and easy while we were locked down and all that kind of stuff, just to go and get the quick one. But I'll be honest, I do like to go and get the nice haircut now. Although I need one at the moment. I need to shave.
But you don't mind a quickie? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Sorry?
You don't mind a quickie?
Oh, look, you take what you can get.
Especially nowadays, yeah, this is true. No, I mean, I go to the same salon that I've gone to for years. Matter of fact, it's weird. I actually literally have her card right here. I don't want to give her name, but here's her card. And she does a treatment on it. She does like a Brazilian blowout. It's almost like a keratin treatment, very similar. It's more formaldehyde base, and it causes the hair to go straight, and they last about 6 months. And she gives me a really good deal on it. About half the price wouldn't be normally anywhere else, but
I'm very superficial. The reason I go, apart from I like the haircuts I get, but they're fully licensed, so I can have a drink while I'm getting my haircut, and they do the best head massages.
Oh, do you get a head massage? Oh, that's like the greatest feeling is when your head's back like this, and they have that nice lukewarm water, and they're just
it's wonderful.
Yeah,
that's wonderful.
They know that too. They that's part of the whole experience. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So the funny thing is, people tuned in here thinking they were going to get some hard hitting politics, and they've just got two blokes talking about their stylists and hair.
Yeah, well, hey, look, we're giving you some hair tips. First of all, get a point cut. Don't get a blunt cut. Okay.
See, don't say we don't help people. I mean, this is good solid advice.
I got to get trimmed because I got split ends, but I'm telling you, I it's like this morning, I shampooed, I conditioned. You could tell. I mean, you can always tell when I've actually done my hair because it's a lot more fine. But I was so excited. I'm like, okay, I got to go out and get a haircut today. I almost was going to I thought about getting a manicure too. I mean, I've been cooped up, and as you can tell, I probably need one. I mean, these things are like claws, so I got to trim my nails because I haven't gone here. I feel like a hermit. You know, it's like my hair's growing out. You know, I'm getting these nails. I luckily I shaved at least, right? But
well, that makes one of us. I didn't shave.
I could tell that you're scruffy.
Yeah, I'm feeling a bit scruffy today. I've had a real good week, and I think because I've been on such a kind of so busy with things, I've just missed a few things. But I'm actually booked in to go and see my barber tomorrow, and I like getting the cutthroat sort of shave and the nice neat trim and all that kind of jazz. So looking forward to that.
Well, that's nice. That's nice that you have the ability to go make an appointment because down here, like I said, everything's closed. It says by appointment only, but I don't know.
Yeah, you know what?
They're closed.
We locked down. We were sensible, although we are getting a second wave here, so I probably can't say too much. Even New Zealand. Did you hear about New Zealand?
Yeah, I did. They're at level 3 or something now.
Yeah, so 100 days with no cases, which virtually eliminates it, especially when you're on an island in the middle of nowhere. I mean, you think we're remote; they're really remote. But it looks like what's happened is it's come in on in frozen meat.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, so that's what their theory is. The father in the family who is where the clusters originated from works in a meat factory that deals with frozen meat. So their theory is because if there's been no cases, it's and they've got quarantine and lockdown, so it's not like people are coming in to bring it. There has to be an explanation for how it got in, and that's what they've said that under cold temperatures, it can last longer, which would make sense. Yeah, that's the theory.
I have not heard that one before. That's kind of disturbing.
Neither had I until they were trying to work out how New Zealand could have 100 days with no cases, and then it suddenly pops up again. But look, New Zealand's pretty good. They'll get on top of it pretty quick. They don't have any common borders they share with anyone, similar to us. Low population. Their population centres are mainly in cities, so.
It just seems like a very odd vector for some reason. Meat, but hey, somebody in the live chat actually mentioned a topic we're going to be going into a little bit tonight. Did you notice that?
Yes, I did see that.
Yeah.
Mr. Falwell Jr.'s hair.
Yeah, this guy. Yeah, this that I just put up on the screen. Jerry Falwell Jr., who's on indefinite leave after Liberty University after a racy photo. I'm not going to show the photo. You've probably already seen it. I know you have.
Can we be honest? Is it really that racy a photo? I mean, it's
no.
they've unbuttoned their pants and they're showing bellies as a bit of a not my taste in humour, but so it's a pregnancy joke photo. I mean, I see the irony considering some of the comments that him and his family have made, but really, I mean. Are we surprised?
No, it's not. But here's the thing on it. It's not racy as we would call racy. It's the fact that it's Jerry Falwell Jr. and they portray themselves to be these bastions of moral virtue gods. I mean, look at first of all, he was on the board of Liberty University. Then you have obviously his father, Jerry Falwell, who's obviously a well-known evangelist. And if this was anybody else, they would have had thousands of dollars worth of fines. They probably would have had thousands of hours of community work they would have done with the university, or they would have been expelled by the university. They have a very strong moral code.
Am I missing something? Or
No. There was I think that for a similar type thing, it was like $9,000 in fines that they said the students would have been fined for. But again, to me, it's more of the hypocrisy thing, right? Because you have these leaders that are supposed to be, we're these religious leaders, and yet we know time and time again, religious leaders are still people, and they'll do the same messed up things, right? I mean, I think probably among religious icons, there's probably more sexual scandals than there are among non-religious people. I mean, every time I turn around, I remember even growing up, there was a scandal somewhere. I mean, I lived down the street where Jimmy Swaggart got busted in Indio, California. About a couple miles from my house, he picked up a prostitute there, and he got totally busted for that. Remember that?
We've got the chat telling us that our images are frozen.
I think I just fixed it. I think I just fixed
cool.
that.
No worries.
Hang on. Yeah, it's just...
That's okay.
I'm moving stuff around. But yeah, there's also you got Tim Haggard, you got all these different religious people that get busted for this kind of stuff.
It seems to be an ongoing theme. I think you've got people who are hugely sexually repressed and can't act out in any ways. I think it's like an explosion. I mean, Ted Haggart's a classic example. I mean, there's a guy who is clearly, at best, bisexual.
At best, you're being very lenient there.
Well, yeah, I'm being extremely lenient, but the irony is, he lost his job, lost his position, but then out of that, his wife released a couple of books on why she stayed, and he's released his story on redemption, and they're straight back into the money making process. They've started a new church in the same town that's basically pulling people from the old church, and it's just going back into the family business.
Yeah, isn't that the greatest thing though with con men though, especially the religious con men? Redemption, right? It's like, oh, Jesus forgave me, God forgave me, you should forgive me. And also we find it in the atheist community as well. It's weird because they don't use Jesus, but they still use the same type of techniques to manipulate people when they do some shitty stuff.
They've got their Jesuses, they've got their prophets. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. It's,
I agree.
And if you don't follow the groupthink line, it's bad, naughty. You shan't be forgiven. But if you're part of the groupthink clique, and it's like any community, any society, you see that a lot. It's Trump's a classic example. I mean, he's the least evangelical person I can think of in politics, but the evangelicals embrace him because it suits their agenda too.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. Matter of fact, I was watching a video not too long ago, and this video, and I don't remember her name, but I need to reach out to her, see if she wants to come on. But she did a comparative analysis of the secular movement, the SJW type movements with religion, and she did a brilliant comparative analysis showing that they have the same types of things. They have the same, you need a persecution person. You need a heretic to go after. Then you need the mob mentality. Then you need the how does this person get back into the good graces? How do they redeem themselves? With the redemption story kind of thing. And I wish I remember her name, but it was really good. And I was kind of like, yeah, I've seen this happen. When we have people that quite literally have done the most shittiest things to people in the community and lied over and over and over again, but they expect to be redeemed merely by saying, well, believe me now.
I can think of someone who that might apply to.
What's funny is I can think of more than one actually. But yeah. So I think it's something that happens, very, very much related to us as being one, people that want to forgive, and people too that play on that and actually prey on it, to be more specifically. They actually know that people are gullible.
We're tribal though. We're a tribal species, and we always want to protect people in our tribe. The people who look and think and act like us. It's a natural thing that we millions of years of evolution have basically ingrained that in our DNA. So it's not unexpected. And people want to, they want to think the best of their tribe. I mean, and especially if, say, someone's been following the Falwells, or even a Ted Haggart, someone who's been following Ted Haggart and bought all the books and listened to everything, and to them, Ted had been an integral part of their life. They want to believe that this little stumble, he can come back and they can get their Ted Haggart back. The Ted Haggard that they had. It's natural for people to want to think that. It's natural for people to want to bring those ones back. Except in the most, heinous of situations.
Yeah, but these are not just minor stumbles. And again, it goes to the hypocrisy, because that these people are full of crap. They've done some shady stuff. I remember when I was living in Palm Desert, there was a church called the Southwest Baptist Congregation, something or other. It was a mega church, right? It was one of the biggest ones in Palm Desert, Rancho Mirage area. And, come to find out that the pastor and the pastor's wife and the secretary and her husband and all this other stuff were having these group orgies in jacuzzis, and you had photos that got out, and big kerfluffle. And yet,
Sorry, where was this church again?
Yeah, I don't know. You want to be a member? You want to come on down?
Well, I was just going to get the address just for research
purposes. But there's also fiscal malfeasance. There's a whole bunch of other things. But the point being is that a lot of us were just like, Yeah, well, I was like, whatever. This doesn't even shock me, right? But to people that live in that area, it was like, how could this happen? I'm like, where the hell have you been all these years? I mean, this is like something that happens like in almost all churches. You have some pastor that has had an affair with somebody, that has, messing around with somebody, people. It's like, first of all, I don't care what they do. I'm not judging them. I really don't. I mean, the fiscal malfeasance is a whole different ballgame, but if people want to have group stuff, if they want to wife swap, if they want to have key parties,
good luck to them. Good luck.
Go with God. It doesn't bother me in the very least. But the hypocrisy is for them to get up and preach every Sunday about moral virtues, and condemn other people for doing, what they do themselves. That's the problem that I have.
I can tell you from my time in the church, some of the things that some of the leaders would do and get away with certainly weren't in line with what they were preaching on a Sunday. And I think it's a common problem. I think it's people may not necessarily hold to a certain view, but because they've gone through a process and essentially it's their job, they're kind of stuck in a bit of a situation where they don't exactly know what to do or how to break out of that problem. I mean, I think we do need to, and that's why things like the clergy project exist, because you've got a lot of people who it's just their job and it mightn't be what they believe. I'm a classic example of, I was very, very much in favor of same-sex marriage, but the church I was involved with certainly wasn't. So I kept those opinions. I mean, I didn't go out and do anything, but I certainly kept those opinions to myself rather than speaking up at the time. And it was only later, I guess, when it mattered more, that I did sort of speak up on the issues. And but I wasn't the only one in the church that held that opinion. And I guess there's a lot of opinions that a lot of these people will hold that they can't necessarily talk to anyone about, because if they go for counselling within the church, well, all of a sudden they're going to find themselves condemned. If they go outside, they're looked down upon, or it's
I've seen that firsthand.
Yeah,
I know a person. Won't go into specifics, but I know a person that has actually told me that very thing. That if the organization knew some of the things that they believed, the church knew what they believed, that there might be some problems there. Right?
You see, someone like Ted Haggett, I mean, he could have. I think he made a decision, and I think he can be ridiculed, because he could have made a decision to come out and say, look, you know what? And I think he did come out and say that he was bisexual and had those feelings. He could have come out and changed his attitude and said, but you know what? This is there's nothing wrong with it. It's yes, the drugs and lying about it to my wife, that was wrong. But he could have turned it into a positive, but instead he just sort of stayed away for 12 months, then went back, and he's back with the same old rhetoric and just basically talking about how he fell and how God brought him back, and that's write a book about it and make a few more $1 million.
Yeah, and that's what I detest, right? That again, like you said, if he made a positive out of it somewhere, because again, I mean, I don't think the whole lying and adultery and that kind of stuff is anything to be proud of, obviously. But first of all, if a person, like for example, like if they have like with Haggard, if they have do stuff that's homosexual stuff, what are they got to be ashamed of? And for them to go back on this weird rant and think, oh, I fell, I gave into these urges. First of all, those urges don't stop. You don't stop being gay. Sorry, it just doesn't happen. No, but God's not going to change that.
There is no pray the gay away.
There is no pray the gay away. Yeah, that absolutely is bunk. Matter of fact, I remember with the Mormon Church, they had an organization that they were funding called Evergreen Project. Are you familiar with that?
No, I haven't heard of that one.
The Evergreen Project is basically a place where they send the bishop's gay kids and stuff like that to go get reparative therapy and conversion therapy to basically show them that being gay is bad and they shouldn't act upon it. It used to be they actually thought they could actually change, and they even used electroshock therapy and psychotherapy.
We've outlawed that in Australia.
They don't do it any longer. They basically just say, well, we can't stop you from having these urges, but you just can't act upon them, which I think is very, very dangerous. I think that's actually psychological.
Oh, look, I've seen people exercising demons. And it's like the demon of lust, the demon of homosexuality, all these kinds of things. On people who are just clearly that way inclined. I know someone, and I'm not going to out this person, but he's probably one of the biggest Christian activists against homosexuality, against same-sex marriage, and he's very religious. But he also admits that he is someone who has homosexual urges, and that he would, identify that way. And his view is it's just the challenge that God's given him, and what he does is he doubles down against it. Like he's and once I'm not going to out this person, but he is very vocal in the Australian Christian community as someone who has led campaigns against this kind of thing. And
we see that all the time. It's the ones that are most vocal about it. Same thing in America. It's the ones that have. How many times have we seen a religious right zealot Christian fundamentalist do exactly what they've been preaching against? I mean, it happens all the time. It's at the point where most people are like.
And the other thing to remember is sociopaths and people who want to take advantage of people will put themselves into positions where they're able to. And that's why you see a lot of issues with religious institutions, organizations like the Scouts, schools, doctors, because these people put themselves into positions where they can take advantage and can fulfill, I guess, what they want to fulfill, the urge that they need to.
Do you think that again, it's kind of quarterback, what do they call it, armchair quarterbacking or something like that? But how do you think that he and because the woman who was with supposedly it was his wife's secretary, they were on a yacht, and I guess they were having a party of some kind. Do you think he was actually messing around with her?
There's no evidence for that. It appears as though it's a photo where they've done the unzip. It's a joke about the bellies. And I know people who are couples who'll do the side by side belly shots, and it's normally where the guy's got a little bit of a belly, and it's a bit of a because women will do the side by side belly. I've seen.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think it was posted.
I've seen that photo before.
I don't think. For example, I think he was well aware of the, that it was unzipped. I think it was supposed to be in his mind eye something innocuous, but what he messed up on is he should have realized that the constituents that he has, the evangelicals that follow him, he didn't think how they would look at it.
You've got to know your audience.
Yeah, know your audience.
Clearly, he didn't know his audience because his audience didn't appreciate the humor. And really, it's a nothing photo. It's not even it's two consenting people showing their bellies essentially and a little bit of their underwear.
He might be a party animal. I mean, I think that he probably is a party animal, and he does some messed up things. I think that this was one instance.
Well, I don't think it was just a Coke that he had there. So
well, he said it wasn't an alcoholic beverage, but at the same time, my thing is why do people have to go out of their way to say it wasn't an alcoholic beverage? You're an adult. This is what I'm saying. This is what I find odd.
Because once again, that's his audience.
I know, right? But that's what I'm saying.
They hold these people in such high regard, and the image that they portray is this one of perfection. They can do no wrong. It's all
Yeah, well, I know my audience, and if I want to have a scotch or a brandy, you can kiss my ass. I'm going to have one. So sorry, audience.
I think your audience would be more disappointed if you don't.
Right? Yeah, I know. Well, they actually think I have people like, Steve's an alcoholic. I'm like, dude, I barely drink maybe once a week at most, and even then I have that much because I have stomach issues. I can't drink that much.
Oh, that's right. Anyone who watched Friday Night Six Pack would think that I'm basically a
you're a lush. Yeah, we just kind of figured that's your operating level.
That entire show is just dedicated to let's all drink and solve the problems. Incidentally, if anyone hasn't subscribed to my channel, I'm just shy of 500, so I'd love to hit that magical 500 mark. So
make it happen.
I might throw the link in. So if anyone who hasn't subscribed would like to subscribe to me,
I love it because he actually does drink, and it's weird because he'll take a problem, he'll absolutely solve the entire problem for the world, but he's so drunk that he doesn't remember it the next day. Yeah, and so
because then I get to resolve it again. It's wonderful. So I've put that in. If you haven't subscribed, go and subscribe to me. It costs nothing to subscribe. I only need 5 to get to 500. So
yeah, my friend Gary says it was a swinger party. I don't know if it was a swinger party or not. I don't have enough evidence to even weigh in on that. To me, I'm going to go that it was probably innocent. But again, I think the mistake that Jerry Falwell Jr. made was he didn't know his audience.
I think if it was a swinger party, I don't think there'd be cameras out.
Yeah, I don't think that'd be so
They'd
easy
be,
photographed. Yeah.
they wouldn't. They wouldn't be. He wouldn't have been making. Look, it's a bad attempt at a joke. We've got a question from my good mate Ed, the grumpy old dude. He asked, "Do either of us think that the most televangelists are just playing the part, as in don't believe in God?"
No, I think they actually do. I think they do, but they convince
I think
themselves.
I think most of them do, but
Yeah.
yeah. I think there's quite a lot that don't. I think there's quite a lot that treat it like a business. What was it? What was his name? Marjo. I don't know. Did you ever see Marjo?
Mm-mm.
It was a documentary that was done back in the 70s, and he was a traveling, Christian preacher. And what he'd done was he'd actually, he had the film crew going around with him. But what people didn't realize was he was actually saying, so here's how this works, and here's the trick, and here's how it, and showing the manipulation, the business side of things. Basically exposing it for what it is. So if you ever get the chance, Marjo,
I'm gonna check it out.
that's worth.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that some of them might be like that. Like Peter Popoff, for example, that would be a perfect example. Who knows it's all BS, but he's made a fortune off of it. I mean, he even here's another person who got busted in the '80s by James Randi, completely busted. I mean, there's just no. You would think there's no coming back from this, right? Here's a guy that had an earpiece, that his wife had a radio, and they would have the people fill in the cards before the show, and they would say, okay, well, this, row 3, Miss McGonagall has, a problem with her right eye or something, So they'd be like, Jesus is telling me this, that you have this, and burn that cancer out of your body. And they'd be like, how does this person know? Well, you would think that after a while people would go, because I remember this in the 80s. I remember very distinctly thinking that Peter Popoff was a complete fraud, but it wasn't demonstrated at that point. Now, then it became demonstrated, and you think, oh, this guy's screwed. You're never going to hear this guy again. Now the guy's out, he's out there having these commercials with Miracle Spring water that if you pay him $20, he'll send you some water that he tells you doesn't do anything. It's not the water. The water has no magical properties or anything like that. It's not imbued by prayer. It's basically just, hey, you send me $20, I'll send you this water, and God will take you and make you financially set and take you out of debt and pay all your debts off. So you send me 20, God will reward you, tenfold and solve all your financial woes. That's a scam.
You'd be better off buying what's her name? I can't think of her name. She sold the bath water.
Oh, the Daphne, is that her name? You're talking about?
I think that's a real name, but yeah.
Yeah, it's I can't remember her Twitch name, but
Belle Delphine.
Belle Delphine, yeah.
Yeah. So when Belle Delphine sold,
but hey, you know what? Props to her though. She found a market. Yeah, right. She found a market for that. Look, I have no problem with that.
She knows how to market. That girl is a marketing genius.
Yeah.
Right? It's you could write entire marketing theses on how she operates.
She actually, people have actually written about her. She's actually well studied as somebody who got in the scene, marketed her shit exceptionally well. Props to her. I mean, hey, she played the game and she came out ahead. I don't have an issue with that. My issue is with somebody like Peter Popoff, who is literally telling people bull-faced lies and playing on their religious beliefs for financial gain. That I find to be more.
That's pure scamming.
Yeah, it's scamming.
And look, I look at it two ways. I think if people are dumb enough to continually fall for it, well, they're probably going to blow their money on something anyway.
You want my bathwater? I'll sell you my bathwater. Again, that's not a scam. But what Delphina did, that's not a scam. She's telling you.
No. That's It was exact. Someone made a comment about I'd buy that bathwater, and so she went, okay, well, I'm going to, and people bought it. Good on her.
Right.
That's not a scam.
No, not at all.
But when you're selling miracles, I mean,
Kawasa 5001. Oh my God, Steve has glasses on. It's the 2018 NSS look. Yeah, no, I put my for long story short, I buy contacts and they're not cheap, by the way, but I wore my contacts for so long that it started bothering me. So I just wore my glasses today. And one of my contacts actually was taken out, and my nails are so long that I actually tore one of the little piece out of it. And I've realized before that last time that happened, I got an eye infection. So if you tear your contacts, if you get a little tear, I guess bacteria will, grow in that little place. And so if you ever torn or ripped contact, throw it away. So I threw one of mine away. I didn't want to open a new pack because my eye was kind of bothering me. So, but hey, at least you noticed. Thank you for noticing that. I feel. And by the way, yes, it is true. It only has one lens. Do you see this? I don't know if you can see it. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. I actually wouldn't have picked up on that if you had.
Nobody did. Nobody did on non sequitur that I only had one lens. I now I have reading glasses. Like here, let me just put these on. These are actually reading glasses, right? So these oh my goodness, yeah. I can't. But these are great if I want to actually read something like this card. I can go, oh, okay, yeah, I can read that. But when I have my contacts in, I don't need them when I don't have my contacts. Anyways, thank you, Kwasa, for that super chat.
So long as you can see. Well, I mean, you can see the super chat, so that's always a good thing.
Yeah, but it's actually, having only one lens is kind of nice because this is my dominant eye, so I can actually read everything exceptionally clear. And then when I need to read something close, I can just read it like this because I have exceptionally good nearsightedness. I can read things close up perfectly, except when I have my contacts in. Then I got to have my reading glasses. Does that make sense? Because your contact lens, you're designed for something far away. So if I have a contact lens in and I try to read something close, it's impossible. That's why you have a 1.5 plus reading glasses that I have. But anyways, wow, that was a sidetrack. But hey, thank you for the super chat. Anyways, let's move on from Jerry Falwell Jr. because, like I said, I think this is one of those things: led by the sword, die by the swords kind of things. So
yeah,
all right.
It's hypocritical, but that's okay. Let's move forward.
All right, next one. Trump signs executive order that will effectively ban the use of TikTok in the United States. Now, this was kind of interesting because, first of all, it's weird. It's weird to think that he has the power to do this by executive order. I'm going to go out on a limb here and just say it. I do think TikTok probably has code that is compiling all the information about the user. When you put the TikTok on your system, I don't have TikTok, by the way, but supposedly it asks you a bunch of questions for permissions, and once you give it permissions, it has access to all your stuff. And of course, this is information that they're harvesting. I mean, no kidding, right? I mean, Google does the same thing, but this is with the Chinese government.
It's the levels and where that information's going. That's the thing.
Right.
But we banned it in Australia. It's half the West. I think the UK's banned it. It's Now, we've also banned Huawei, the mobile phone, the Chinese mobile phone company, because they've got inside it, they've got like technology that basically allows the Chinese government to listen in on your conversations.
Okay, let me ask about that then. Okay, so first of all, the maker is TikTok. I don't remember. They're actually suing Trump on this, but do you think that Trump could sign the order to ban TikTok without actually showing people the code that did this? Again, I believe it. Okay, I don't think it's conspiracy type stuff. I haven't seen the code. I'm not somebody who's familiar with Java, whatever the system it uses, but it has the ring of truth from what I've read about it that it probably does. I don't know if
you can actually open something up and say here's the code itself. Mm-hmm. You probably don't want to make public code that is designed to steal people's information for a start. But I mean, the experts and non-political experts globally are looking at it and saying, yes, this is an issue. And that's on both sides of politics. I mean, it's, not every Western nation has a right-wing or conservative government. So,
but the Chinese government's saying, oh, well, it's just your basic information that all apps kind of get.
Yeah, no, look, I can tell you it's not. So it's it's the amount of information that companies get is insane. But TikTok takes that to the next level. TikTok potentially can, listen in on phone calls, things along those lines. You would be amazed at what's in the settings for that thing. It's, I mean, look, if you have a mobile phone, Facebook's already got all your information. If you leave the app open and don't do the double click and shut it down, everywhere you go, Facebook knows, and I can tell you that because I've got a digital marketing company. I can when I say target people, say for a restaurant at lunchtime, I can target people who have had their mobile phone has been within half a kilometre or a quarter of a mile of a particular restaurant between the hours of 11:30 and 12:30 when they're more likely to make food decisions. So, we can directly target people who are more likely to be, and that's information that people just openly give out without realizing it. TikTok takes it to the next level. TikTok is essentially, and I'll say this as and give myself all disclaimers. This is what I've heard. This is an opinion. This is not me making any claims because I don't want to get sued. But what my understanding is TikTok can basically listen in on your phone calls, conversations. Essentially, it gives the Chinese government the ability to access your entire life.
Okay, let me ask you this then.
If something happens, it's a lot of things that they can close down and shut down.
Oh, like I said, I've heard similar, and I tend to believe it. But I think one of the scariest things, from what I understand, with TikTok is that, unlike most applications, or at least the way they're supposed to be, there's not supposed to be any ability to actually pinpoint it like a specific individual. Like it's supposed to be like, here's the data, but you cannot take the data and point it to a very specific person. Okay. Matter of fact, there was a problem years ago in America. We had a company, I think it was Verizon. They had all this metadata that they were collecting, and the metadata was supposed to be for purposes, internal purposes, to help get better coverage and to do this and that. And they're supposed to destroy the metadata after a certain amount of time. I think it was like 2 years or something like this. Come to find out, they weren't destroying the metadata, and the metadata could actually be used to say, hey, look, this is actually not just some string of information. This is actually this information that belongs to this specific person, right? And I think TikTok can actually, from what I understand, say, hey, look, this is Chris's information. This is a politician's information. And that's what I think would be the most scary, right? Because then you're literally saying that you have information about a very specific individual, not just generic information about
Chinese. The privacy laws in China are not the same privacy laws that we have here in the West.
No.
The Chinese government, the copyright means nothing to them. The Chinese government does what they want to do. They're an authoritative dictatorship. And there's something in the chat, actually, that I think it's really important, that Heat Shield said. Love the Chinese citizens, but it's the government that's the concern. It's
Sure.
I think you need to be able to draw a very definitive line. And one thing I will say is, I don't think Chinese people are some of the coolest people I've ever met. They really love their Pokemon. I'll tell you that. Like, they love Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
But Chinese people are the ones who are suffering more than anyone under the authoritative dictatorship. I mean, essentially, it's technically it's communist, but the reality is it's a fascist authoritarian dictatorship that they've got there now. And in this day and age, where the next wars are not going to be fought with people with guns on battlefields, it's going to be bringing economies down. It's going to be spreading global disease that's designed to cripple the world's economy, while then offering to shore up some smaller countries in exchange for naval bases, things like that. So that's how the next war, or the current one that we don't realize that we're potentially in, will be fought. So why would we want to give an authoritative government who openly is going against, and I say us, us in the West, is openly challenging the West and democratic nations? Why would we want to give them any advantage? Why would we want to give them a leg up?
Yeah, well, look what happened with Twitter just recently. It was shown that a group of kids, and literally kids, I mean, these were teenagers, were able to socially engineer people to get access to high-level accounts and then tweet out from those accounts. Now, had that been a foreign agency, a foreign government, and by the way, I remember having a tweet saying, hey, look, this is either a foreign agency going, hey, look what we can do, or two, an inside job, people that have actually got with some kind of Facebook, Twitter employee to get the ability to do things they shouldn't be able to do. And by the way, that was the case. It was that exact thing. Because there was really only a few options that could have been.
North Korea's been caught trying to. I think North Korea brought down Sony, because they didn't like a movie that was put out. I mean, there was the Sony hacks. I mean, there's things like that that are designed to damage economies. Something that's just been put in the chat. Could say the same thing about the US right now. The US is not authoritarian. It is not even close. If you want to see authoritarian, go and look at nations like China. Russia.
I agree and I disagree. I wouldn't say that we're authoritarian nation, but Trump. This is where we disagree. I think Trump is authoritarian, but it definitely has moved in that direction. I mean, there's just can you honestly say that America has not moved more toward authoritarianism, even though we might not obviously fully be there as compared to Hong Kong and Korea?
There's only the opinion. Whenever the person you don't like is in power, there's always that view that what they're doing is wrong, and there's always it's like whenever, okay, so what tends to happen is if it's someone on the right, they're authoritarian, they're a criminal, they're acting outside the law, and they're also portrayed as being someone who's stupid or having strings pulled by big business. When it's the left in power, what the right do is they say, oh, they're edging towards socialism, they're going to send us into more wars. It's the same narrative every time. I can tell you right now, if Biden wins, it'll be the same narratives from the right that they had for Obama, for Clinton.
Well, I remember during the Bush, it was warmongering, right? With Cheney and Bush, it was all they're warmongers. But they didn't throw around the term authoritarian very much. They threw around the words, like New World Order and warmongering.
When the Patriot Act was coming out. When the Patriot Act was coming out, and we're moving to the big thing was moving towards an authoritarian, more authoritarian government because of what was in the Patriot Act itself. I mean, that was certainly a concern. I think Michael Moore did about 20,000 documentaries on it.
Yeah, well, they used fear. They definitely used fear and stuff like that.
There certainly was that. And incidentally, the Patriot Act was passed by both sides, so that wasn't a right or left thing. It's everyone's favorite presidential candidate, Joe Biden. He signed off on that one.
Yeah, here's the thing. I understand the need for the Patriot Act. Do I think that they went overboard on it? Yes. Do I think that you gave up too much social liberties? Yes. Because I understand the need for safety. Totally get that. And by the way, they've had the ability to listen in conversations for ages. There's nothing really new out there when it comes to security. The government they know everything there is to know about you if they wanted to find out. You have no privacy, okay? But the Patriot Act, the one thing that bothered me about the Patriot Act is the fact that under the Patriot Act, they could pretty much incarcerate you indefinitely without due process and without legal representation. That to me scares me. Now, I understand why they do that in certain cases for when it comes to certain potential terrorists, but still, when we're sacrificing something that this country has been founded on, the very foundation of legal representation, speedy trial, Sixth Amendment, and to not be incarcerated without being charged, that I have some huge issues with, because you have to look at it this way. Sure, there might be somebody that is from a foreign country that they put to Guantanamo, they put into some deep dark hole somewhere, black site, and you're like, yeah, you know what, screw them kind of thing. But what happens when that person happens to be someone like Chris who goes, I didn't do anything. You got the wrong person. Our whole society in America was to prevent innocent people from having to go through that stuff.
Well, and I guess there you get the moral question. What's better for one innocent person to be locked up and 100 guilty ones as well, or for those 100?
It puts it to the test, right? Because if the terrorist is looking, if one of them can actually do damage, what can kill literally thousands of people, maybe even more, hundreds of thousands potentially. I mean, we've all seen, maybe most of us have seen like 24 with Jack Bauer kind of stuff. I mean, that, by the way, was one of the best series ever on TV because it made you think, whose side are you on? Did you ever watch 24?
I caught bits and pieces of it.
Great show.
It wasn't as big here as it was overseas. It's probably one of those things I need to go and catch up on at some point.
Watch it from the beginning. Binge watch it one day because it's really worth watching. I mean, it's one of those shows that as it went on, some seasons were better than other seasons.
A lot of shows jumped the shark.
Yeah, I think if I remember correctly, I think it was season 4 that I liked the most. Mm-hmm. So right in the middle there. But yeah, so I mean, this is what scares me when you have the Patriot Act that allows for that. So yeah, I think it went a little bit overboard. But when it comes to like Trump signing this executive order, one, there's some people that say that he doesn't have the empowerment to do this. Well, unfortunately, I think that he actually does. Looking into it, I think that I think it's legal.
Before he signs anything, he gets a lot of legal advice, and if it wasn't, it'd be challenged. It's a funny thing. Trump is heavily disliked. I get that. In this case, it is the right decision. He has made the right decision, banning that. Because
but what about the optics?
And what it does.
But what about the optics? I mean, let's be realistic. I mean, he's a big baby, and TikTok is a platform that excoriates him, that basically just mocks him continually, and he hates that.
Oh, well, yeah, but if that was the case, then he'd ban Twitter, he'd ban YouTube.
I don't think that he has not looked into it.
He'd ban everything that wasn't Fox News.
Dude, I'm not kidding. I think he probably has looked into banning stuff. I look at Facebook. I look at the ads that they're having.
I think that would be a valid argument if it had only happened in the US, but this is something that's happening all throughout. I think Canada's about to do the same thing, and I don't think anyone can argue that Justin Trudeau and Donald Trump.
No. I agree. I definitely think that because there's international agreement and support. I'm okay with it. But
if it was just the US that had come out and done this, well, okay, maybe then there's an argument. But even then, I don't think it's a.
It sure works out to his advantage, though, doesn't it? Because again, he gets a lot of criticism on TikTok.
The people, he has criticism everywhere. The people who are criticizing him on TikTok will just go and criticize him.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with you. But again, you're dealing with somebody who's I think is a pure sociopathic narcissist. He can't have that.
There's no two ways about it.
Yeah, he can't have this criticism. One, I don't think he even recognizes it in some degree. I mean, to him, he literally thinks he's some kind of holier than thou messiah figure. I mean, to him, he's the best at everything. It's like, no, dude, you're not. But he's been told this all his life. I think he's really believed it.
You don't get to the level of success in life that he got to without having that mindset. And it's a mindset that's foreign to most people out there, because if most people had the same mindset, well, there'd be a lot more people achieving similar things to him, I guess. But
what he thinks is an achievement is basically most people be like, that's nothing. It's just like it's like he gets a participation award. It's like, look at macaroni art kind of thing. It's like it's not Van Gogh.
Let's keep in mind he's a billionaire who has had a very successful career, and people are trying to break into the studio.
Pizza.
Oh, that's all right. I hope you. What kind?
I don't know. Hey, Jim! What kind of pizza is that? What kind of pizza?
Meat lover and Hawaiian with bacon.
Meat lover and Hawaiian with bacon. Because my roommate doesn't understand. Hawaiian pineapple does not go on pizza. This is a moral.
No. Pineapple absolutely goes on pizza.
I'm a rebel.
Yeah, he's weird. But hey, pizza's pizza.
That's right. That's okay.
He's the cold roommate.
No, that's what I'm saying. Trump has, love him or hate him, love his methods or hate his methods. We're talking about a billionaire who is the president of the United States of America. That's not something that everyone...
I don't know if he's actually a billionaire. We haven't seen his tax returns. I just questionable thing there.
He's a billionaire.
But even still, it wasn't he was dirt poor. I mean, if he was dirt poor and he had the same beliefs that he has, that, he's super special. Dude, do you hear that he passed a cognition test? I mean, like, the doctors were amazed how well he did. It's never happened, by the way.
But the reason he's doing that is because he's trying to portray this narrative against Joe Biden. It's the narrative that Joe's not quite with it. He's not all there mentally, which there may be some truth to. I don't know. But that's the narrative that he's saying, look, I'm fine. Yes, I'm about the same age as Joe. I'm fine. Look, here's the test. I've done very well in the tests. Why hasn't Joe done it?
Well, that was a killer segue, by the way.
That's the whole. Yeah, see, I'm good at these segues. I'm really good at these segues.
I'm impressed. That was a killer segue, because that's the last thing we got to talk about here in the last 10 minutes or so. Joe Biden's VP choice, Kamala Harris, signals return to American values and competence. I'm gonna let you run with this, because I got to tell you this. I'll do my too long didn't read in a nutshell thing about Kamala Harris, about American people. She's not well liked in America. She's not as disliked as Hillary. But I could tell you right now, I think this really kind of hurt Joe Biden's chances. Before, it was like, you had two people that you had to basically plug your nose and say, you know what, I got to go with one of them. And no matter who you support, people are going to be like, are you supporting somebody who grabs pussy, or are you going to grab somebody who, seems to fondle people in every photo opportunity? Whatever it is, both of them have these images that are pretty shitty.
I'm just waiting for the picture of Joe Biden sniffing her hair. That'll be a good one.
Yeah, well, he probably has. I mean, but here's the thing: it's like you have to pick one of them. So it's the lesser of two evils. But who you support, they're gonna be like, you support a hair sniffer, you support a pussy grabber, you support somebody who's been,
both terrible. They're both terrible. I mean, it's Joe Biden's got outstanding and credible allegations against him from Tara Reid, not the actress Tara Reid, but from Tara Reid, who used to work. And these are things that, if it was on the other side, would be pursued. The Me Too movement, I've noticed, has very conveniently just brushed Tara off to the side because it doesn't suit the narrative. You've got two really, really bad choices for president in the US. You've also got two really bad VP choices. I mean, you've got Mike Pence, who calls his wife mother, and it shan't be seen with other women, and
believes the Earth is 6,000 years old and denies science.
But Joe Biden, with the right VP pick, could have put it in the bag. And there was a lot better out there. It's Tulsi Gabbard, Elizabeth Warren. If he
I thought he was going to go with Elizabeth Warren. I thought she was
that would have been sensible. I think that would have been sensible because she's a bit of a like, she can attack in the debates. She goes for the jugular. So, but Tulsi Gabbard tore Kamala Harris apart.
Yes, she did.
Kamala Harris, especially in a time where I guess the narrative on the left is, defund the police and concerns about, its incarceration rates. Why you would put Kamala Harris, who has got one of the worst records for that.
She was at about 33% approval rating during her presidential run. Yeah, I mean, which is pretty damn low, actually. That was her peak, and so she had to drop out of the race because she just wasn't polling very well. Yeah,
I mean that's look. Basically, Trump's won the election. Trump has won the election now. I can tell you now. I'm
not going to go that far. I'm not going to call it yet. I still think Biden has a chance.
I will go. Oh, look, while there's an election, there's still a chance. But
do I think this helped him? No. In fact, Washington Post. I think it's a Washington Register or something like that. They even said that picking her was probably one of the worst decisions that he made, and he is basically from an optics point of view. I mean, I can see his reasoning, right? I mean, she's black, she's Asian, she's a woman, she's hard hitting. I mean, she's really kind of known for the. I don't know if you watched it, but you do watch her
she's
going after Kavanaugh. I mean, she just eviscerated, and I think a lot of that was maybe a little unfair because I'm not a big Kavanaugh fan. Don't get me wrong.
I also saw her going after Biden. It didn't work out for her.
Yeah. Well, during when she was running for the presidential candidacy kind of thing, she was no fan of Biden. It seemed.
Well, the thing is, I think a lot of the virtue signaling, I think, goes against the electorate. I understand the sensitivities in America, so I want this to come across in a way that's not going to upset or offend people. But I don't think the optics of someone's background should be the determining factor in holding the second highest position in the United States. It should be merit based. Now, I think having a female is actually a good balance, and I think
I have no problem with that.
There was probably out of the candidates who certainly were up there, I think the female candidates were probably the better choices. I had this, but there was better choices out there than Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris she's very much the establishment pick. Now, you could have gone for a woman of color with someone like Tulsi Gabbard. But the problem is Tulsi Gabbard is too much of a progressive. I mean, she's to the left of Bernie. She's brilliant, though. I mean, she would have brought in a lot of people who are sitting on the fence. She would have brought in a lot of the Trump, I guess, the Trump light voters back across to the Democrats because she's very personable. She's not seen as that establishment candidate. She's not. She doesn't play to the identity politics. She's seen as someone who is fairly reasonable. And I mean, I'm saying this as someone who. I'm right leaning, and I don't vote in the US anyway. If the election was on tomorrow, I wouldn't vote. If Tulsi Gabbard was the VP choice, I would vote for Biden. And a lot of people I'm speaking to hold that same view.
No, I agree with you. I think because Harris has a hard edge. She is, like you said, establishment. She's left. She's left of the left of the left. I mean, she is about probably as far left as you can really go in American politics. But she is a hard hitter. Somebody pointed out, Mikey pointed out, she's a prosecutor. Okay, yeah, I get that. And did she have every right to go after Kavanaugh? Yeah, I mean, that's what she does.
Of course.
Didn't fault her for that, although I think they had a lot of things that weren't facts and evidence. And again, not a Kavanaugh fan. But that's what she made her name for, right? Being hard hitting. But it also made a lot of people turn off to her. And when you're trying to run on a ticket where you got a couple things going for you. Okay, first of all, Joe Biden had the we already demonetized it. Doesn't matter. He has the whole COVID thing going for him. That's that's going to go in his favor. Okay, Trump screwed the pooch in that from start to finish. I don't think anybody's ever going to think that helped Trump in any way, shape, or form. So he had that. So the DNC, once again, though, for some strange reason, and I don't know why they don't learn from their mistakes, when they pick a running mate, they always seem to pick the running mate that is not going to be popular with the people in order to get the people that say, look, we hate our primary here, guy. We're not a big fan of Joe Biden, but the vice president, at least we can actually stomach. So let's go with that. And so I think that this actually does give Trump a little bit more advantage, because it's the same thing we had with Hillary. The people that voted for Trump, and I stand by this. People criticize me, but I truly believe this. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I'll change later if people convince me. But I think a lot of people who voted for Trump were the audience, anybody but Hillary crowd.
Oh, absolutely. There was definitely a big anyone but Hillary.
Yeah. But Biden should have. He needed to go on that though. Anybody but Trump.
Yeah.
Reverse Uno.
People aren't getting excited for Joe Biden.
No, they're not.
That's the problem. People aren't going to go out and get excited.
But that's why you pick a running mate to get excited for. No, who's going to be excited for Kamala Harris? Nobody.
No one's excited for Kamala Harris. No. It's
nobody.
Incidentally something funny I saw. Kamala is actually a Finnish word that means horrible or terrible.
Is it really?
Yeah. So I don't know how she'll go with the Finnish American voters, but
I don't know much about her background. I looked into it before. I think her dad was a. He was a graduate. He was
Jamaican.
A professor. He was Jamaican. But did he work at Stanford or something like that? He was a graduate professor. Her mom was an endocrinologist or something. I mean, she comes from a very affluent background, to say the least. So, yeah.
Look, she's a first generation. Her parents were both born overseas. I guess she's the example of what you would call the American success story. I mean, there's no dramas there, But really, it shouldn't have anything to do with someone's background. What it should have something to do with is who they are, what their policies, what their track records are. And I struggle to understand how, in a time where a lot of people, where they're trying to get that progressive left excited about Joe Biden, the ones who went out and voted for Bernie, who are probably not going to show up for Joe. I think there was an opportunity there because, look, Joe is the centrist candidate. He's the establishment centrist. The dyed-in-the-wool Democrats are going to vote for him, but that progressive edge aren't going to get excited over Kamala Harris. I mean, we're in a period where we've got people calling for defund the police. It's why would you bring in Kamala Harris, who has one of the highest incarceration rates on record as when she was Attorney General for California? It's just.
Yeah, I don't think she has a stellar track record as a prosecutor either.
No, it's and people are going to bring that up. I think there was better choices out there. And look, I know that a lot of people in the chat are saying that I'm on drugs or I'm high if I think Trump's going to win. People said that 4 years ago. You know what? I picked it 4 years ago.
No, I did too. I did think that.
Money on.
Yeah, no, I actually was like, yeah, Trump's gonna pull this out, and people were like, "Are you kidding me? Trump doesn't stand a chance." I was like, "Really? No, I think that you're wrong on that." So.
Here's something I'll explain about people who are on the right. There's a genuine, I think, unfounded fear about being targeted by the left or being harassed by the left. So a lot of the time, if someone who's right wing gets stopped in the street, they're not going to say they're voting for Trump because they don't want to be screamed down. There's the perception that will happen, and we've seen that happen. It's not just in the US; it's happened here in Australia. The last election, our left wing party, the Labor Party, was meant to win in a landslide. To the point where the fellow who was running for opposition leader actually famously got caught on video introducing himself to Arnold Schwarzenegger, saying, "I'm going to be the next Prime Minister of Australia." The same thing happened with Brexit in the UK. Even in the lead up to the UK election, it looked as though it was going to be closer than what it was. But then you get these landslides. I wouldn't trust the polls. I certainly wouldn't trust the polls because I think in this age of, it's people getting called out and attacked, conservatives tend to keep their opinions a lot more to themselves.
Oh, I completely agree with you. I think the polls don't take into account certain variables that are just like that. They just don't.
Yeah. So and look, it's closer this time than it was last time around. And I think there's a lot more hate for Trump now.
Yeah, and I think the swing states that he had before that he's just not going to get. Like I remember during the election, I was actually streaming. And I remember when Florida went to Trump, and I think this was like 29 electoral votes or something like that. I mean, it was pretty significant, and that's one state that he had to win. He had to get that state, and once he got that, it was pretty well game over. Because then he got like I don't know, like Virginia and West Virginia, and then New Hampshire and Rhode Island, all these other little states that kind of went towards him. But I think now when you look at the electoral map, it's not favorable to Trump right now. There's a lot of states up there for grabs, and it's going to be where Joe Biden and Trump kind of spend their time trying to go, get these voters, especially the Bernie Sanders voters, because I think they're probably feeling a little bit disenfranchised because, again, I don't think Bernie Sanders voters like either candidate. So what are they going to do? They're going to flip a coin, plug their nose, and go, I got to vote for one of them, kind of thing, or just not show up to vote.
I think there'll be a decent third party. A lot of people I'm speaking to again are talking about voting third party, which I think is a good thing in the US. I think you need to have. It's not going to make any difference this election or probably the next election, but the higher that third party vote gets, the better quality candidate they're going to be forced to give you in the future. So yeah. I think that's probably worth thinking. Question actually from Jay from the Nevermore Tavern. He said, since we both like politics, how can you call a state's electoral votes going to a candidate when only 3% of the vote have come in? The reason they do that is it's a lot of it's based off the exit polls. So if the exit polls align with what they're seeing actually come up, then they tend to.
It doesn't take a large sample size to know when they have that. Pretty much, you can get a very small percent of the votes in, and just because, like you said, by the exit polls and just statistics, you can pretty well call something very early on.
And look, like somewhere like California.
California's always going to be a blue state. Oh, I'm glad you reminded me of that. Can I correct something? Because I never correct myself because I can never be shown to be wrong, right? So somebody actually left a comment on the video the other day, and I told them I'll be happy to correct this because I erred. I had actually said that in California, the amount of registered Republicans outweigh the number of Democrats. That is incorrect. What it should have been was the number of Republicans in California are more than any other state, but Democrats are almost 2-1 in California.
Yeah, and that's based on that's a population.
Yeah, because it's so we're blue. I mean, California's a blue state, and so a lot of people do have the idea that if it's a blue state and it's going to get all 50 whatever. Was it 59 electoral in California? I don't even know, but whatever it is, it's how many is it?
I think it's 57.
Is it 57?
I may be wrong. Yeah.
You know what? Google foo. I'm just curious. I think 50 something. I know that. So California Electoral College is. 55 votes. Yeah. So you know what? Easy way to remember that.
So we were both wrong, but I was less wrong.
Both wrong. You were less wrong. I was more wrong. You were less wrong. But I told the person that I would correct that because hey, facts are facts, right? And this is what I'm saying. If you have facts, if you have evidence, you have reason. And by the way, I kind of realized I did mess that up. So when they told me, I couldn't argue. I was like, yeah, you're right. I'll fix it. So there you go. Example of me correcting my shit that I got wrong. I did ban that person in perpetuity, and I'm never going to talk to them ever again. And they're now crazy. But it worked out well. No, I'm just kidding.
And we've got on the attack, of course, as well. Yeah,
absolutely. I destroyed their dude. I basically I did a background check on them, and I found out all the information, and they're never going to work ever again. So
you do realize that's going to get clipped. You do know that, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I count on it. I definitely count on it. But anyways, we did go about an hour here. I got pizza in the waiting. It's very hot here. I would like to go longer, but I got to tell you, I'm not feeling too great today for some reason.
It's one of those days. I'm with you. So go. You go and enjoy your pizza.
I think I will. So, anyways, guys, thanks for watching this. We really do appreciate the fact that people come watch us talk about politics because, again, I'm not a politician. He is. So I kind of defer to him on a lot of things. But I actually have had more fun talking about politics than I expected.
Week, actually.
You do what?
Watch here next week. Watch here next week for an exclusive. Might have something to say about
Do you have something of interest? I do watch your shit, but the problem is I got to be up like 4:30 in the morning my time. But a lot of times I am, and I've been getting up early. The last couple nights. I think what's actually phasing me is that because I do different time zone things. Obviously, I mean this one's not too bad because it's 8:00 at night for me. But like for you, I'll at 4:30 in the morning. Then I've got other people in the UK that are 8 hours ahead, and so it's was 11 o'clock your time this starts. I think
no, 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock for you. So mid afternoon for you. But
Yeah, just after.
but I've been going to I just crash after like last time we did this. I went right to sleep, and then after like we do caffeine corner, I'll take a nap, and so my sleep schedule is so odd that I'm up all different kinds of hours. Plus, as you know, I'm trying to pack up some stuff because we're going to be moving to another location here, probably this week or so, or next week, or whatever the hell it is. Whenever we figure it out, but we're looking at new places. But you know, my sleep cycle's all messed up, and so I think this kind of just like today. I was telling you, I was sound asleep and my alarm went off for this show. I was sound asleep. I was having a dream. It wasn't a bad dream. It wasn't a great dream. It was just still a dream.
You should have seen him when we first jumped on pre-show. He was looking a little bit disheveled. You know, it was.
I will never go on camera disheveled. No, actually, probably I have.
You did pretty yourself up, so that's
a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I have to freshen up a little bit.
You always do your best to look beautiful for me. So yeah, that's nice.
Oh, well, you noticed.
Is that me harassing you?
He actually noticed that. That's sweet. Most of my men don't notice those things.
Yeah. Well, you know,
So show your stuff. Let people know where to find you and stuff like that, so we can now watch your six-pack stuff, which you basically ripped off from Rum and Coke Night, but that's okay.
It's everything I do is a rip off. I have no original ideas of my own. Friday night six pack or Friday morning six pack in the US. Sorry, in the US. So 9:30 p.m. Australian, 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, or 4:30 if you're on the West Coast. But you can always watch the replay. Look, it's a fun show where we basically get together and we've got 6 of us. We have a couple of drinks and we try and solve all the problems of the world. Gradually getting more inebriated as the show goes on, but it's a lot of fun. I've put just the link is going in the chat. So look, I'm pretty close to getting a milestone subscription number of 500.
So, that's good.
Which is not bad because I've only been going for about 6 months. So it's sort of I'm pretty happy, and I was surprised anyone even bothered to tune in, to be honest. So it's quite nice. But I like round numbers. So if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. It's a bit of fun. Look, it is what it is. I also do Atheist Pastor Podcast, which is basically where I have a chat to someone in the community. Sometimes they're controversial, sometimes they're not, sometimes they're out of the community. I had a Christian commentator on who wanted to tell me that democracy needs Jesus. That was a really interesting conversation.
Wait,
last week.
Run that by me again.
Yeah, he put an article out saying that democracy needs Jesus to survive.
That's a theocracy by definition.
Yeah, I know that, and I did correct him. He had a few historical things in there, and because I'm a historian, I was able to correct him on a few of those things. And to his credit, where he was corrected, he accepted it. So, and it was an interesting conversation because it was like talking to myself 10 years ago. But yeah, I had John Ridges from the Atheist Alliance International, who he's certainly a controversial person in the atheist community online. I think he's actually more hated than you, Steve. So
no,
that's. Oh no!
I did watch some of that, by the way. I did watch your thing, and by the way, I wish I would like to talk to the guy too. Maybe some of you one of these days. I have some questions for him. But yeah, no, I did watch part of that, and I think that was really cool that you got him on.
And look, it's my attitude is I like having conversations with people. I don't mind if there's a little bit of controversy. Yeah, I like having conversations with different people, even if I'm going to disagree with them.
No, I applaud you. I applaud you on that. Totally applaud you having him on. Macabre for $2. My cat told me to send you $2. Thank you, Macabre. And I'm gonna put a link in the live chat. That's for Agree to Argue. If you guys haven't watched it yet, by the way, we broke 500 subs only on our second episode, so that's pretty cool. Took you 6 months because 2 episodes.
Now I'm a bit jelly there. But,
so go ahead and subscribe to Agree to Argue. It was a good episode today. It was one of those episodes that I was out of my depth, and I'm not going to even front. It was on intelligent design and complexity arguments, and I tried to hold my own. But when you're going against a PhD who does this for a living, I got to know my place. But Fuzz is very, very accommodating. He's very fair.
Right, so I'm really quickly going to put this out there. I'm really quickly. I'm at 498 subs.
That's it. You need 2 more.
More coming. There's got to be 2 people there who can.
2 people. Okay. So let's do this before we go off air. Put your link one more time. 2 people right now. Go take care of him. Go take care of this wonderful human being here too. That's all he wants. Dude.
That's a wonderful human being. Just do it to spite me. I don't care.
Yeah, hate view. He'll take 8 subs.
I'll take him. I'll take anything. It's I don't mind. I'm prepared to take them.
Take
So
what you can
that's
get. But by the way, next week though, Brian Stevens might want to watch Agree to Argue, because we're going to be talking about, can you have morality without God and objective morality? Because again, I actually subscribe to objective morality. I think that I am tending toward moral realism. However, it depends on your framework. So the question is morals objective or subjective? The answer is either. It really depends on how you there's no right answer to that. It's a meta-ethical theory. It's not a normative ethical theory. So if you want to subscribe to objective morality, that's great. If you want to subjective morality, that's fine too. Either one have I don't see a problem with. I do think I think there's a better case for objective morality, though. I definitely think that it exists. But the argument is going to be next week is, can you have objective morality without God? Absolutely. Matter of fact, I think God actually kind of negates objective morality. I think it actually makes it more ethical subjectivism. But watch that episode next week, Brian Stevens, my friend.
And interestingly, actually, and this is
next month.
I've just been reminded in the chat here. Mikey Famine will be on. Well, tomorrow for me, I guess, or in a couple of days.
Wait, you're having
Friday
Mikey
night
on?
Six-pack, Mikey Famine. Yeah, Mikey's on. Yeah.
Wow. First of all,
He's coming on.
It was nice to see that you'll have anybody on. But
I'm scraping the back.
I'll watch that. I love Mikey, so I'll watch that.
And we're $4.99 sub. 502. Hang on, it just went from $4.99 to 502.
There you go. There you go.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah.
I feel loved.
Well, you know, I made all these promises to you that, you know, if you do the show with me, you become internet superstar, be famous, make lots of money, have women throwing themselves at your feet.
That's what the other people promised me. If I went to hate on you, I was going to be boosted up and made famous.
Yeah, look how much that worked for a lot of those people over there. Not very. All right, guys, wrapping it up. Good night. Like, subscribe, share, leave comments. I've been the comments you guys have been leaving for this particular show have been like, wow, amazing. It's not like they leave something like this. They leave paragraphs. And by the way, I'm not even fronting here, dude. 95% of them are to you. Are to you. So you'll check back on the video every so often. Yeah, they love you, man. And look, they love you.
I'll respond to it if I can. I mean, obviously, time comes into it, but I certainly will try and respond to as much as I can. And certainly a lot of the longer ones, I do want to.
They're well thought out. Yeah, they're not trolls.
And give, I guess, the respect back that and reply in kind. It can be a little bit difficult, just once again, time constraints, but I will reply to as much as I can.
Yeah. Well, and I appreciate that. And I do read those. So with that, guys, good night.